Thanks for joining us for the interview portion of the Data Speaks competition, created in partnership with RFG 2018 and Sequent. I'm Anna, a project geologist from Sequent. I'm joined today by Bianca from the University of British Columbia. So, Bianca, your original abstract title was Molecular Biology in Mineral Exploration. What is your revised abstract title?
Microorganisms in mineral exploration, how bugs in the dirt can help us find mineral resources.
Awesome. So tell me, what question are you trying to answer?
So in Canada in particular, obviously mineral exploration is really important to the economy, but in recent years it's becoming more and more difficult to find buried mineral resources as they're buried beneath significant amounts of soil that has been transported by glaciers. So I'm a geochemist. We often use geochemistry to find these buried mineral deposits, but it's not always 100% effective in finding these targets. So I'm assessing microorganisms as a vector technique to find these mineral deposits.
Really cool. What concept does somebody need to know to understand your research?
So you have to understand a little bit about how microbial communities respond to different chemical changes in soil. So just an analogy here. So picture Canada as a whole, and then two variables, so population and climate. So if we took a census of Canadians and where they live, you would find that most people live in the southern regions, more temperate, mild climate. Whereas if you go in the northern regions, you're going to have less people living there. It's cold, harsh conditions. So we have that shift in the amount of people that live in different regions of Canada. You also see a shift in the kinds of people that live there. So let's say the Inuit people of northern Canada, they have adapted specifically to live in those northern conditions. So that's what we see in the microbial communities. So we see this change in who is present depending on the soil environment. And we also see a decrease in the amount of diversity that you see there as well. So with the concept of looking for buried mineral targets, let's say the harsh conditions is where you have the mineral deposits, we can actually pick out specific organisms that tell us that that's where we can search for minerals. So, yeah.
Great, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
What role does data play in your research?
So data is really important in any scientific research, but specifically for what I do, I'll focus in on two main points. So one is data collection. So because we're dealing with microorganisms and we do sequence their genes, contamination is a really important thing to avoid. So we use sterilized equipment and nitrile gloves when we collect these soil samples. Also data interpretation. So we get massive amounts of data when we sequence these genomes of the microorganisms. We also have geochemistry, we also have surface mapping, vegetation maps as well. So trying to integrate all that data together can sometimes be really difficult. So it takes a long time to kind of pull out those important data sets and integrate them together in a way that you can that is useful for industry. So I would say data interpretation is probably the most important.
Definitely. Why is it important for you to share your data and your research?
So the impacts of my research directly affect the mineral exploration and mining industry. So this technique will hopefully be applied in mineral exploration. So it's really important to engage with industry members and tell them about your research. So in my case, we want them to know that yes, this technique is something that we're looking at, so there's a theoretical application to it, but also show them the data that we've actually been able to use this, that it works. So conferences like this are always really important because you're able to demonstrate that your technique is valid. In mineral exploration, I think there's a tendency to want to go back to those traditional methods of exploration, and you kind of don't always trust new techniques. So it's really important to just show the hard evidence that yes, this technique is valid and this is how it works.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today, Bianca. Once again, this is Data Speaks, a competition created in partnership with RFG 2018 and Sequent. You can watch the videos on YouTube or Twitter with the hashtag #CDataSpeak.